Okay. Hello, everyone. It's Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk. How's everyone doing? I have a special guest today. I'm so excited. One of my friends, her name is Gina. We won't say the last name because I don't know if I had permission or not to share, but she referred me to Mr. Corey Miceli, and he had a lot to talk about. We talked a lot the other day, and we decided to do a bunch of videos together. So this is part one. Welcome, Corey. What's up today?
Thank you. Oh gosh, lots of stuff. There's so many things to talk about. I really don't even know where to start. So I'm assuming you'll help kind of guide me along. And I don't even know the direction we're going to take today, other than forward. So with that said, sky's the limit, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to know, first of all, your childhood, like how you got into squatting so much, and what got you motivated into that? Were you in the military? What's pretty much your background?
Okay, well, there's Corey Miceli, the athlete. I was ultimately ended up playing college football and became a pro prospect. I had a pretty wicked knee injury at the end of my senior season that actually led to me starting a very successful sports performance business, but did definitely prevented me from having a legitimate shot in the NFL. I was the strongest college football player in the nation as a college athlete. I squatted 900 pounds, bench press in the mid 500s, and power clean 424 pounds, I believe. I've always had just for some reason, I was always driven to just be as strong as I possibly could. Even as a child, I would always just do bizarre feats of strength if I could. See if I could break some branches or drop tree limbs and catch myself 10 feet lower, and just weird stuff like that. I was always just in nature, just testing the limits, since I was as long as I can remember. When I turned 40, I jumped into pro powerlifting. So I remember I had a conversation with myself when I was a freshman in college, and I just said, "Self, you like powerlifting, but for some reason it's not your time to do it. When you turn 40, then do it." So I did. I turned 40, jumped into powerlifting. Within, I think, 18 months, I qualified as what's called a pro. It's not like it brings you that much money. It's just a status of how much you can lift. And in 2016, I set the American record, which was number 2 in the world historically in my weight class. Went for the world, which is the 308 weight class. If people know about powerlifting, it makes a lot of sense. If not, it just basically means I was at the top of the food chain in my weight class in my 40s, but not against all ages, open class. It wasn't like an age division or anything like that. So I did advance to a very elite level, chased the world record for a little while, and finally broke that addiction maybe 3 years ago. That level, you got to call it an addiction. It's nothing but that.
Wait, what happened 3 years ago? I didn't hear it.
I said I finally broke the addiction of my powerlifting, I think 3 years ago.
Really? What'd you lift, or what'd you?
Well, no, just being so consumed by maximizing that top end performance. It's very consuming. Any sport at a very elite level or high level, tends to be very consuming. So I finally psychologically stepped away from it. I'd say 2019, kind of had a little bit of an injury that led me to come to that conclusion. But regardless, it's just something that's in my past at this point, and that's what it is.
Yes, I can relate. I was lifting very heavy, and then I had the back surgery in October, and I couldn't work out for 4 months because bones grow in 4 months, the doctor says, supposedly. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna grow them within 2 months, and which I did, but I'm like, I better not go work out until after, right? And that's where I am, kind of because it's very consuming. I want to keep lifting heavy, but I have so much pain right now that it's crap, what am I gonna do? And
right,
it's all my life I've been just working out. Since I was 13, I started weightlifting, and I did competitions in 2006. So I get it. And then the food thing to me, lately I've been bulking up and eating a lot. I told myself I'm not gonna eat the the tortillas, right? I hadn't eaten the flour tortillas in 3 years, and now I did it for a whole week, and I'm like, I gotta stop. It's your body craves the comfort food. It craves the carbohydrates and things like that. So what can you tell the young people that are starting out, and then what can you tell people like us that are getting, we're a little older. That doesn't mean we're like, we can't do things like this, obviously. It's just.
The first thing I'd say is focus on your intensity. I don't think very few people understand how to exercise and train in a very intense state. And obviously, that it's a variable for different people. But I think that's one of the least discussed concepts on how to make progress in any type of exercise, whether it's endurance, whatever it is, endurance training, strength training, like recompositioning your body, rehabilitative training, whatever it is. Intensity drives results big time. And then, with that, understanding how to recover and fuel yourself properly, and those sorts of things. But intensity, which is like the ability to like tap into how much energy you have, is like the major difference maker. So it's about your state of mind, focus, clearing your energy, if you will, and just zoning in on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
For example, I truly believe it'd be better to work out one time a week with like optimal intensity than to hit the gym 5 or 6 times a week and flounder around and check your text messages and the chit chat and this and that. It might be a social thing to do, but as far as making progress, managing intensity is like one of the most important components.
That's interesting that you brought that up, Corey, because before the surgery, I was actually just working out 2 times a day, and I was there 3 to 4 hours, and I felt like, I felt like, hey, I'm maintaining, I'm doing pretty good. And now I'm like, well, I'm back to trying to get that up again, the bulking of muscles. And like we were talking before we got on, it's I took a day off today, and I'm like, oh, I actually got on my bike for 45 minutes this morning, and I'm like, no, I gotta stop, like just relax, but you're right. Once or twice a week, I think, if you're already, to the point where you want to be strong, yes. And you're right, intensity has a lot to do. Like I don't like to be like, what I do is I turn off my notifications when I'm at the gym, because if not, you're going to be like chatting. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to go on Instagram unless I'm going to post like a video. Cause I try and do a lot of like women over 50, exercises, which is actually, it's still intense. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anywhere where, do you have like Instagram, or what made you say that it's Squats for Life? I think it is Squats for Life.
Oh, Squat Life. Well, I sold the first, touch on it briefly. The first business I started is known as D1 Training today. It's a really I built a really good brand and a real good reputation in the sports performance business with that brand. And in 2007, I believe it was, I was kind of jammed up in a few different things and needed to sell it. So, being and mentioning that is after I sold my my D1 brand, I was just kind of floated around for a couple of years without a very specific brand. And just was watching those old Thug Life videos where you see a guy kick like a 60-yard soccer goal, or throw a double bullseye with a dart or something, and they throw the Thug Life like song and shot on the screen or something. So we just started like kind of jokingly using the term Squat Life. So after maybe a month of just saying it a lot, we decided to start turning it into a brand. We just made t-shirts, had a couple supplements, sponsored events, ran events. I think we're up to like 740,000 hashtags on Instagram now. It's been in a little bit of a standstill since COVID because we haven't been as active at events since COVID hit, but we got a completely new bunch of radical new stuff we're doing. New online store. We're sponsoring Summer Smash Music Festival this summer, which is pretty cool. Doing a big Christmas in July party, obviously in July, and then putting the final touches on sponsoring Sturgis Bike Rally also. So got a pretty busy summer. Next year from now, we'll see 7 million hashtags instead of 700,000. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, Spotlight, the brand really is it. Like I look at it as like a fusion of like masculine and feminine energy, and just like working together with like-minded people to just know whatever life brings to you, to stand up and keep moving through it, and just like keep that vibration as positive and as strong as you can, as often as you can.
Yes,
that's really what it's about.
That's true. So Corey, another question on that. What do you do other, like you're saying you can go and work out once a week or whatever? What do you suggest as far as like, calming yourself, or what other things do you do if you say you just decide to work out once that week? What do you do? Do you climb?
No, I mean, I don't really think once a week is the optimal training plan. I was just making a point of how important intensity is.
Okay.
But I would say short-term goals are very, very important. I know been working with clients for a long time now. I notice when a client does have a goal that's written down and written down with a timestamp on it and the action steps necessary to accomplish that goal, people get into a flow much, much better. So really having a goal in mind, you can break your goals down or whatever, but short-term goals are important too. Even if there is a big long-term goal, something you're working on in the next 4 to 8 weeks really drives and channels the energy towards something. And there is some magic or power, whatever you want to call it, to putting something on paper, because instead of just in the idea realm, it becomes something you can see and hold and touch. So having some type of goal that's tangible that you can see on a daily basis to remind you what you're trying to accomplish, changes the game big time.
Right. And you're also a motivational speaker, right? And are you you say you have a radio show also in Boston, or
well, actually, we're going to stream this also. It's on Rap Fiend Radio. It's the Corey Miceli show. And kind of forgot to do the intro when we started, but regardless of that, we do stream on Rap Fiend Radio. And then I'm also an affiliate with Boss Talk Radio, and then which is on the FMP radio network. And then we got Empire Radio Club with my business partner, Steve Ragsdale. Every Wednesday night, it's on iHeartRadio. Empire Radio Club on iHeartRadio every Wednesday night, 8 to 10 Central Time. And then the Boss Talk Morning Show, which is on the FMP Radio Network, is Central Time, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. Largely about the music and entertainment world, but we touch on a lot of subjects. Again, the commonality is keeping your mind right, moving forward, spreading a positive message and just being strong. So whether it's the entertainment, athletics, fitness, it's kind of a similar spirit behind it.
That's so awesome, Corey. Thank you. Yeah. When I'm training, and if I'm my own motivator, like they say. I always kick my own butt, like they say. It's I tell myself, come on, we're getting faster, stronger, smarter.
Yeah, I hear you.
We got to keep going, got to keep motivating ourselves. And so I wanted to ask you a question, some questions as far as these abilities that you have. Do you consider yourself like a super soldier? Because I know that we're able to lift many, many heavy weights and things like that. But I know that when I've had emergencies where I've had to lift, say my bed, because my cat was, I don't know, something you're able to tap into that ability where you can lift heavy equipment or vehicles or
absolutely. Let's just put it this way. Our abilities that are kind of off the spectrum, if you will. When I was a young child, I would frequently have, I guess you'd call them prophetic dreams, or dreams giving me insight into the future.
Right.
Some are pretty benign, just be for example, I remember clearly seeing some blimp up in the air. And later that day, bam, saw the exact same thing. There's other times I dreamt about finding certain things in a specific area. Lo and behold, a day or two later, I'd find whatever that thing was in that area. I don't even know how to really articulate what that means or what that is. You probably have a better understanding of it than I. But so things of that nature are very common in my life. And then as far as any physical gifts, rapid healing is definitely one of them.
Yes. Yeah.
I've had some pretty wicked injuries and had many near-death encounters, hit by a car, snowmobile crash, quite honestly overdosed on drugs. What else? I don't, so the things that, we talked about earlier, took that 75-pound steel beam to the head. For some reason, that didn't really knock me out, although it definitely shook things up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I've just been very resilient with a lot of incidences in my life that could have easily taken me out. And then when I have suffered some injuries, the healing has been pretty miraculous. But so in August of 2019, I completely tore my patellar tendon, my kneecap, off the tendon. And, I think 6 or 8 months later, I was jumping out of the back of a pickup truck, which is not common. If you know anything about that injury, typically when people suffer that injury later in life, it's pretty much most likely not going to recover to a full capacity. So thankfully, one of the gifts I have is like rampant healing. Always have, and thank God that I am.
Yeah, same here. I can totally relate on that. Totally, totally. I was,
And you know what too? One thing I've noticed is like for whatever, and I think it's one of the reasons I've been very successful working with other people in sports performance and strength. Like somehow when I'm working with a client, my energy does flow into them, and they typically when someone trains with me, they see an instant like radical boost in their strength. Just as of late, there's a young woman that started training with me or squat in like 2 weeks, went from like 260 pounds to 340 pounds. Another young man, his squat went from like 200 pounds to 350 pounds. And I got another client that started training with me recently. I think his goal is to put on mass. He had never really done any weightlifting before. And like in a 7-week period, he put on 40 pounds of muscle, and he went from like not really ever bench pressing to like repping 315 pounds for 5 reps. So there's some kind of weird energy transfer that exists when I meet with someone that I click with, and they tend to like take on attributes really, really fast.
yes, I totally relate. What we are is we are DNA activators, pretty much. That's what
Sure.
we help activate the DNA of others. And when we were talking about the super soldier stuff, I confirmed that, yes, you're also a super soldier. And we'll get into that in a minute, but it's,
Yeah, I think maybe since we're just talking, since it's on my mind, I think it's time to mention it. Like the picture I sent you with my soul twin, Paul. Remember that picture, the two of us in the car or whatever?
yeah.
We didn't actually meet in this realm until like 1994. Yeah, 1994. And like the moment we met, boom, it was like this weird, like loud silence that like came over us. And like we were instantly like, boom, had this like the most deep seated bond you could imagine. And, well, I need to keep focused here. So long story short, Paul had an incident where he flatlined down, his lung collapsed, just had like a near-death experience, which is so common amongst, I'll just say, all of us. And he jumped in a very, very clear vision of us, I'll just say, in another place. And it was, we should have him on the show sometime, and he could give the vision he had in much more vivid detail, but I can just share with you what he shared with me. And at times I've jumped in and seen flashes of the same vision. It's pretty intense. But long story short, Paul was like my right-hand man, or I think you might call them like my man at arms or something like that. And we were with like a crew of other soldiers, for lack of a better term. And we were going into like certain regions or areas that were being ruled by people that were very evil. Our job essentially was to take them out and like rectify situations in places where things had gotten out of hand.
Right. And when we spoke, I confirmed that it was the Kruger project. And
yeah, I don't know what that means, but I can just, like I said, I can just share with you my experiences. I don't even know what all of them mean.
right.
So I can just tell you what I'm.
Just tell me, one thing that I was wanting to text you about, but I'm like, I'll just wait till the show. When you were telling me about that experience, that it was like a lion beast or whatever, but when I remote view the paw print, I see it like as a wolf being. So
okay,
because we also have the programs with the wolves, and a lot of us, we were in many groups, many programs, and they gave us the DNA for the wolf, the dragons, the mermaids, the dolphins, the lions. So yeah, it's funny that you say it's very common for us all to have near-death experiences, because my left lung collapsed too, and that's when I went out. I died for the 3 days. So I'm gonna be asking you and your friend to come on hopefully this week too, to speak about that. It's incredible, like how many times we were supposed to die and we're still here.
yeah.
What do you think your mission has been in life? And when you were a kid, did you ever dream of being like a superhero? Did you ever I like that picture of you. That's nice.
Hold on.
A superhero do you pretty much relate to or whatever?
Oh wow. I mean, I never really considered myself like a real comic book like fan, or like but I've never really realized I was into them. But looking back as a child, I really was like very interested in like whole superhero thing. I really relate to all of them, to be honest. The ones that stick to my head would be like Batman, Superman, Hulk, and then later I read this comic book about the heck was it called? Like Augmentor Man or something like that, where something happened where all of his natural attributes and skills were highly augmented at certain times. So there's not exactly one that I really related to,
Right.
but like looking back on my childhood, I think I was interested in it more than I even realized, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. I have a lot of like, I just grew up with watching the Star Treks, the Bionic Woman, Bionic Man, the Hulk, Wonder Woman, Superman, especially, oh my gosh, Superman was one of my favorites, and other than the Hulk, of course. But we all have these altars that sometimes, whether it's in the astral, because usually the Germans will take us physically, and then here and then the others will take us astrally, so to do their missions or whatever. But
Well, let me tell you this: in 1992, there was an actual murder attempt that I obviously survived. Someone in a 1977 Grand Prix, like, basically ran straight, tried to run me over completely. The last second, I jumped, and the car clipped me in my shins, threw me against the windshield. I remember holding onto the hood, and thankfully, there's a telephone pole, maybe, I don't know, 15 or 20 yards behind the impact point of the car. The car hits the telephone pole, sends it flying, thankfully stops the car. I go flying like through the air. I remember feeling my head bounce off the concrete. As soon as I stood up, these guys that were with him just came running out from where they were hiding and started beating me ahead with pipes or something. I don't know. I just remember hearing the sound like, boom, 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 and then something snapped. I just stood up and defended myself. I truly do not remember what I did, like at all, in a complete blackout moment. And next thing I realized, I was like standing next to a house catching my breath. And the next thing I realized, I was like signing a waiver at the ambulance, like declining service. Because at the time I was playing college football, and I knew if I went in that ambulance, I probably wouldn't be able to play football that weekend. So I knew there was no way I was going to the hospital. Made it back home. A few minutes later, the police came and got me, and they tried questioning me. I really didn't cooperate at all because at the time I wasn't sure how I was going to handle the situation. Thankfully, I decided to let it go. Never did anything about it, which I know was wise. And so that was an experience that felt superhero-ish, if you will.
well, heck yeah. There's just it's just our altars always will come out to defend us,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
defend us, to defend us and to defend our loved ones. I always say, be as sweet as pie, sweet as can be, but if the shit hits the fan, I'm gonna F you up.
I hear you.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just wanted to hear more of your experiences in life.
Yeah, there's like one thing that's interesting too. So many times, especially in like rougher areas, if you will, there's people that approach me out of nowhere that already know me, and like they tend to call me C, which is a common nickname I have anyway where I grew up. And these are people I don't think I know, yet somehow they know me and approach me. Just kind of, it's really strange. You ever had stuff like that happen?
Yes. Oh yeah.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. Like I feel like I've known them either in another realm or they just heard about me from another person. Like it was so cool. Like randomly, Gina, she's like, hey, I got this guy. He's my friend. He's like us. He's a super soldier. He's like us. Like I want you to talk to him. And I'm like, when I started listening to your voice, because we were on the phone, I'm like, he sounds familiar. Like your voice. It just felt like we clicked right away, Corey. Like I got you, like you got me. And that one experience that you told me about the guardians, pretty much there was a bunch of we'll call them angelic beings, like you said, and they were all together, and you had just gotten done with some kind of mission or fight, and they were just there. I think you had they ran around the building, and then you saw them or something like that. And then when you said that, I started like getting emotional because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be left alone, because this mission that I have, I do it alone. I'm alone. And I do have, you guys, my brothers and sisters, but it just, when you said that, it was just confirmation that we're doing this. Like, I'm not just going to be fighting alone or whatever the situation is in the near future. You know, we're not going to run out of food or water. We're going to help other people wake up. I mean, if they want to heal, if they want to get their memories back. But why do we want them to get their memories back? Necessarily, it's up to them, obviously, but it's because they have to also heal,
Right.
incorporate all of their altars, so that way, if I need, say, my Sheila the She-Hulk, or I need my X-Men, the X-Men, he's a Wolverine, because I relate to him. I've seen myself as him, or the assassin, or whatever, the Assassin's Creed, because I also have another altar. His name is Elka. We all have to come together to help one another, and I feel to help Mother Earth. What is your take on this whole thing? Because I know some of us super soldiers are still in Ukraine, because there is a Stargate that we're guarding, and it's in the Caucasus Mountains, I believe. I'll figure out the name again, but
Right.
it's,
Does what the book of Ezekiel talk about have anything to do with that, in your opinion?
yeah, I feel that. And then Enoch, there's so many things in the Bible that are planned already, you know, because they wanted the people that we'll call them the ETs that wrote it, or have a plan. But at the same time, we have to be woken enough to not bow down to these entities, to, you know, because every entity, whether it be, you know, the angels or the dragon, the Dracos, the Alpha Draconians, or the Greys, they all have, or the gods, we'll say, because I call it a lot God wars. They're trying to divide us to see who's going to bow down to what entity, or who's going to do what. So my main thing, finally, I broke through having a middleman. I used to pray a lot, and, you know, I used to be like, I need your help, or this angel, or that, you know. And then finally I understood or realized that I am also like them. We are DNA activators, we are healers. Just with our words, we can heal.
Right.
With our
Power of life and death. That's one truth.
yeah, we can enlighten others and help them to get motivated and get up, get out of the couch, go take a walk, or take control of your life. You know, there's a balance always in life. Not too much drinking, boozing, you know, drugging, not too much sex, there has to be a balance in your life. And, you know, you got to find out who you are. I tell people all the time, it's like, we don't,
Like my brother Paul
our own
says, sometimes
mission.
you have to find out what you're not.
I like that. Find out what you're not. And what I always say is, you got to be the same person that you are in the light as you are in the dark.
Yep.
So you got to be accountable to yourself. You have to be your own motivator. You have to be your own healer. Because people, believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that will fake friend you and just watch you and be like, they're trying to find something to say, oh, this person is not a real person, or a real super soldier, or real star seed, or whatever. I find that if you find your inner self, your peace, your own, you know, your own mission, that you don't have to like pretty much go with the bandwagon of all these. Pretty much I came here to break the religion thing.
Yeah. What?
And that's why a lot of people
bizarre.
but I'm like, I'm not gonna bow down to no one. I know who I am. We are the same. We are powerful, if not more powerful than these entities. Just because they have the technology doesn't mean, baby, we got our DNA, and we're more than our DNA. When we leave here, we don't got to go to no heaven or hell. Baby, we've been there. There's more to life than just heaven or hell. I don't know. What do you think, Corey?
I just think religion is such a strange weapon against like actual live. That's a weapon against life, if you will. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not a big fan of religion at all. I mean, faith is obviously incredibly important.
Yes.
But going to a building where people are in this weird zone where there's no communication, listening to one other person, and like, I don't know, the whole thing just messed up to me. I don't like it. And if you look at like, we want to even talk about the Catholic organization. I don't know. I mean, if you look at like the sinister weirdness that is like intertwined into that, and how accepted it is, and just nothing is done about it, is a big commentary where we are in our like social development, which is not really that far.
No, I get you. I was brought up Catholic, and then when I was 21, my mom said, "Oh, we got to be Christian now." And I'm like, later on in life, I'm like, I ain't nothing. I'm just me. I don't want to bow down to nothing. I'm not gonna comply. I don't care if they threaten me. And as far as the Vatican and stuff, that's like Satanistic crap going on. And every time, I was thinking about that this morning, every time they drink the blood of supposedly Christ, even the real Christ was not even crucified. It was another Christ that came, and he was just a regular human guy that the ETs gave, the visions. And if you listen to that video that I sent you, the Ashiana Dean Voyager one, you'll get what I'm talking about. There's three, Christ that came. So anyway, going back to what I was thinking about this morning, when they drink like the blood, wannabe, blood that they, and the bread, it's like they're making fun of the humans. Like they're saying, hey, we're sacrificing you every day. Children, women, animals, we don't care. We're going to keep sacrificing. And everybody is drinking that. And then they go along with their rituals and eat their fake bread. You know what I mean? It's like, I can talk about this because I was in the Catholic religion. As a kid, my whole thing in catechism was, my goal was to get that gold Bible, baby, and I got it. I went to the jóvenes, which is the groups of the young kids. They used me for healing in the Christian church. They said, "Oh, Vero, put your hands on this person and use this name," and I'm like, I can help heal with my own name. Thank you. And it's not being arrogant. It's just a lot of clowning around going on in the churches. And some of you guys fall for it. And if
just these like strange, like
say again,
strange, like you said, rituals of man that I don't even know what they're really based on at all. But religion is a strange thing. It captivates the mind. I think it turns off the creativity and the ability of people to think critically like so much. That's why it's such a powerful weapon.
There you go. They take the humans, because most of us humans have all these abilities, and they just want to have us take away our powers and our loops to them, and for them to open up the landlines every time you worship, there's going to be something that's being opened. And that, as far as that I know of, the Catholic Church deals with Satan, which is a lot of people call it Satan, but it's not just one entity. It's all these ETs that came together to make these churches. And then of course they have the Cain and Abel thing where they divide. They have the other religions. And so they worship these gods that, even the saints in the Catholic Church, some of them were extraterrestrials that just came down. Who would want to worship a god or gods that sacrifice? And then they say, you will only have but one God, but me, only me. It's like, really? No, I'll pass.
I would say there can only be one 0-point source of all existence. So I would just say creator force is a much better word than God, because God can be applied to a lot of things. A drug could be somebody's God. Working out could be somebody's God.
Yeah.
It'd be, whatever. But I do believe there is the ultimate source of energy and power and creation and all that is good. What you want to call that, I don't think we even have the capacity to express it in the language that we have. But I don't see how life could exist and flow without it, that initial point, which is beyond our comprehension. But there has to be a source point of something. I know that much.
Yeah, I know. And me, when I gave that bloodlines class, I was asking myself a lot of questions, because a lot of people say, oh, it's source. And I'm like, you guys, if you look into source, the ETs actually took control of source. And why do you think they're using that? And then also us, we are the bioluminescence. We are the ones that come from the stars. We are stars, we are planets and everything. And we have our special powers. We have always existed. We are we don't have a beginning and an end. And so to me, I feel this being or this thing, it's all of us together, and I see it as a crystal form. That's just me though.
Yeah, I'm
So
listening.
everybody has different ways.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I hit mute or something.
You're a
Yeah,
that must be nice. I want to go over there and work out.
No, it's so deep. Like, okay, let's just jump subjects a little bit.
Yeah.
Dreams. Do you think we have dreams that are purely just like figments of our imagination that don't have a deeper meaning or another place? Because I know if you're anything like me, you've had dreams where you are literally jumping into a different dimension.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole separate existence.
They're real.
Like, just breaking down what you know about dreams, because I think you do know something.
Yeah, like this morning, I let myself stay in, like I said, from working out, and all of a sudden, I'm in this realm where there's a lot of people around me. My daughter's with me, my mom, other family members that I have never met before, but somehow I knew them, and we were all in a long rectangular table. I do remember a couple of them. They were my aunts and uncles, whatever. And then there's this distraction. There's a red canoe, and this boy says, "Get in the ship. These people are gonna die. You gotta go with me." And I'm like, all through the astro, I was looking for my daughter, and I'm like, my mom's gonna have to stay because she turned into something, shapeshifted into something that I knew it wasn't my mom's energy. And I said to my daughter, we have to let her go. We gotta go. You know, if we're gonna go see if the red thing is there, the canoe, but if not, we're gonna go somewhere else, because red usually in the dreams, if you look at the movie Matrix, is a distraction. So I'm like, all right, somehow we got to get off this planet, I told my daughter. So I ended up going, all of a sudden we were walking outside of the buildings, and then boom, we're inside, like if we were in the moon. I've been in the moon many times, Uranus and Mars as well. This time we were looking at the crates, how do you say the crates, of the moon side. And there was some people living in there too, because they have buildings there as well. They have places where people live. Then in another crate, there was this guy dealing with a machine, and he's like, "Oh, being a pain in the butt. I'm trying to." So it was another realm that I went to. It reminded me of the moon and Mars at the same time. So yes, I know that when we travel, we go for real. And sometimes, because I can levitate, sometimes they don't want us levitating, because we are able to take our body with us and not come back. Okay. If you study the Buddhist or whatever, I don't know if it's the rainbow body, that who was it that left? Was it Ezekiel or Enoch? One of those that took off.
I believe Enoch and Elijah both.
Yeah. Oh, Elijah. That's right. That's why I named my son Eli, because of Elijah. So
but Enoch also, I'm pretty sure most people don't.
So but you can raise your love frequency through your heart. It's like you can leave this place if you want to, and you can take your body if you want to. And so that's why there's a lot of AI webs here, to kind of keep us here. It's like, no, man, we're gonna go. Like, we know the truth. We're not gonna come back and reincarnate to do your dirty work anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, dreams, there's a reason why they want you to sleep and dream, because sometimes they want to erase your memories. They want to know what you know, and they don't want you to just disappear and take off. But the dream world is real. There's no doubt about it. And there's always a message that you give yourself in every realm. Like Rumi, I think he's the one that would say, you're asleep and then you wake up and you find out that this was only a dream. So the physical here, this 3D, I used to be mad because I'm like, why am I here in the 3D? But this morning I was in my bathwater, right? Because, we're like, hey, you want to go on? I'm like, wait, I'm in my bathwater. I always have to take a bath because it just calms me down. I was thinking today, there has to be some beauty here on earth. Even all this stuff that we know, all these programs, we have to make it beautiful here. We have this glass here, it's actually sentient. Our phones are sentient. we have to make life beautiful somehow, some way while we're here, and leave our footprints, and just encourage people to
Yeah,
be
I
the best.
believe that 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that is like I had a good friend of mine passed away, I believe it was summer of 2018. And oh, he's kind of a wild man in general, but the guy loved people like no, you have never seen. And in his funeral procession, it like literally it was bigger than any parade you've ever seen.
Wow.
He impacted so many people's lives in so many like awesome positive ways that I think somehow he like was graduated to the next level or something. And since his passing, both myself and some other friends have be able to have some conversations with him, actually talk to him, see him. He's kind of a prankster in general, so that kind of happens too. I don't know how to explain all that stuff. No one really knows how to explain it. But long story short, one of the times I saw him, I like grabbed him and said, "You got to tell me something, Stevie." And the one thing he said was just looked at me, serious, but still in like a good, like high energy, fun place. He said, "Hey, there is light." Boom. Then he just like took off. That was the direct, clear message that he had.
Now remember the light thing. I'll maybe he'll come to me, because a lot of people, well, I think it was him.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
This bottle just fell. Yeah, I have the ability to speak to those that have gone from this realm. But so I always tell people, do not go into the light when you're going to pass away. That's just my thing, because they can reincarnate you on the moon. But yes, he's right. There is light, and we are the light. There's different lights. Okay. So he's having fun traveling everywhere.
Oh yeah,
And,
definitely.
usually when somebody passes away, I always tell them, light a candle for them for 3 days. The Native American, you light a fire for 3 days, whatever you want for 3 days, because we are, when we leave here, we can stay for 3 days if we want to, and then just take off. 3 is very important. I've had a lot of people that have passed on, especially like my pastor. He was my favorite pastor. The second day he passed away, he came to me in a bird form. And then I let him go. I said, "Thank you. I'm so honored to have met you." And then later on, as the years went by, I've had him in my astro talk to me, and it's like so cool. That's why I tell my kids, it's like, don't cry when I die, or my family or friends, because I'm always going to be with you. We are light, like Stevenson. We are sentient. We can go everywhere, and we can go into animals and cats, whatever, and see other people through them, like remote viewing them, even if we're not here physically. So you do remote viewing, don't you? Like you can tap into someone's energy, like say if
Yeah, it's happened many times. I don't say that I have control over it necessarily, but it has happened like vividly, like many times.
I know you were talking to me earlier, and I'm like, okay, I'm almost done. Like I was telling you in my mind, I'm almost done, we're almost done. And I felt like a headache sometimes when people are trying to remote view me or read my mind. I get migraines, and I'm like, hold on, I'll be right there. So then I'm like, okay, I came to tell you, hey, I'm logging on. That way it's like, cool, we're there. I don't know if that's happened to other friends that are around you, or, because
Oh yeah, I like it. What I go back to my friend Paul that I referenced. There's like this, for example, there was one morning I got up really early and I wanted to talk to him. But I was like, it's super early. I wonder if he's up or not. So as soon as I get out of the shower, boom, I get a text message from him, and the circuit like breaks. The energy of the house is just like gone. So it's like, so with like the energy that exists between certain bonds that we have, like the ability of how clear the communication is kind of like dependent on like that energy stream between people. Am I making sense when I say that?
Yes.
And one thing I do too, I have a very strange effect on electronics. I tend to blow out light bulbs.
I knew it.
Blow out light bulbs like so frequently. Street lights, blow them out.
Yep.
Like get into a car and immediately some kind of weird electrical glitch happens.
Yep.
Like I don't know. I think that's energy related. Obviously, it's energy related also. But so my point being, oftentimes if like Paul and I are together, it's very common we enter an area, either everyone in the area congregates to us, or it's like like tear gas bomb went off, poof, everybody just leaves and like vacates the premise.
Yes, yes, that totally happens with me as well. And if I'm with another person that has the same, abilities that I do, then yeah, it does. Like my phone, this is the second phone that I break. It doesn't, when I'm trying to text, it freezes. And I've had this phone for 3 years now. And the other phone, I had it for like 2. And I got mad, really mad one day at one of my, well, it's not my friend anymore, but I had to move out. She got mad at me for something. And then I'm like, I was watching a YouTube thing. It was like an hour long and I was in the middle of it. And she pissed me off so much, Corey, that boom, like I turned my phone off. And now to this day, it's back here, my other phone. It has a double screen. So with electronics, yes. And then I'm always like messing up my every time I put on like a CD or whatever, it goes into radio. And if I'm thinking of something, or if I'm mad, or if I'm extremely happy, things like that tend to happen. Light bulbs here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Like thankfully, I have some witnesses to these things happening, so I don't seem completely crazy.
yeah.
I was with my brother-in-law talking to him about some stuff, and in the stereo that we had, it was a manual like dial to turn it from like auxiliary mode or FM mode or whatever, and the thing just like turns, like
Yeah.
so. But I just gotten talking to him about some weird like electrical glitch, and he was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And like as I was telling him about that, like the dial turns and it goes from like auxiliary to satellite or something like that. Yeah. And I think the point was pretty clear then.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We are special beings that are here for others, to help others to wake up and say, hey, you have the same abilities too. Like how I see you as a because I know you're my brother. You're also the lion, the Lyra. You most likely you were with me in Lyra, Lyrian. It's like a lion cat being also. And it is so cool that the other day when we were talking, because I'm also a gold dragon, and you're the second person that I've talked to this month in May that has come to me. One of my friends, I won't say who it is because, we were doing a session, and she says, Vero, I was in a dream one day and I saw myself, my claws, and I was a gold dragon. I'm like, dude, you're one of mine. You're one of my family. You're one of my realms. We've been in different in many realms, okay? Many lifetimes, all of us here, right? And most of us. I'll say they're baby souls. Maybe it's their first rodeo here on Mother Earth.
Maybe some are like extras, if you will, or something. I don't know, but that's just speculation.
Some of them are what I call backdrop people, zombies, and again, another Mr. or Mrs. Smith, that's what I call them. And my ear just popped. A lot of stuff happens around here. Thank you, confirmation. So it's exciting to be able to have these abilities. Like you can see things, you can probably smell things. Like 2 weeks ago, I was this being was in front of me, and I was like, you smell so gross. It's like, they kind of smell like in between poop and sulfur, some of those things. So it's amazing how we have the clairaudience, clairescence, so you can feel, you can touch, you can see things, you can taste things. The whole thing about levitating, my thing is this last night, and this past week, I've been feeling that I've been on a special mission because I've been eating so much to the point where my stomach starts hurting and I'm still eating. I'm like, come on, Vero, like chill. And so I've read in one of the books, it's called the Mary Magdalene manuscripts, where beings like us, we get ready to travel, to different dimensions and off planet, meaning out of this solar system, because, the ETs and the other agencies want us to think that we're stuck in like just this solar system. And we're not go to any realm. So that's the beauty of traveling. I love to go mainly. I do portals underwater. like right before I fall asleep, I'm like, okay, I'm either gonna swim, and I know who I'm gonna go with, and or if I want to fly, I focus on my eagle self, and then or the hawk self, and then I go that way, flying up on the mountains, or I go in between my walls. Right before I fall asleep, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. This is where I'm gonna go to. One day I decided to go to Uranus, and it was before I wasn't asleep, I was awake, and I got this feeling of getting a towel wrapped around my ears, my head, everything, high pitched noise on one ear, low pitched noise on the other. They didn't want me to see, but I was able to see. I've been there before, a place where humans can exist. And yes, there are waters, like blue waters with black and like this acid that goes up, but they also have like a jungle growing. It's fascinating. Have you ever like remote viewed any planet or been there that you remember maybe as a kid?
Oh, so much. I don't even really know where to start. I mean, the fast answer is yes. I think the like most relevant to like what we're talking about is those like flashpoint visions I have of what Paul described to me, where I'll jump. Like for example, one day I was out visiting him in the Seattle area. We were going to go work out, so as well, I go get some rest and then just come get me in a couple hours or whatever. So boom, I fell asleep, instantly jumped into that realm, and I see Paul walking down in a special like certain way, kind of like a gait how he walks, and he was wearing this like fur vest with like some weapons like over his shoulder, like just kind of marching down this hallway. And I'm like seeing him come down the hallway. He opens the door, and the moment he opens the door in this dream, he opens the door to come wake me up. Now that specific story is not that, you know, there's other things I can see that I can talk about, but it just kind of shows me like how parallel things can be. So I'm not sure if some of these things are past lives. I think maybe they're almost like concurrent lives or something to that effect, because synchronicity of some events that the synchronicity of things that happen here compared to some things I've seen in like dreams and visions are like so interrelated, if you will, you know? So I think maybe, even though this is just pure speculation, but I think perhaps sometimes injuries that we um, might have in this realm are from an event taking place in another realm. What do you think of that?
Yes, yes, definitely. I will wake up. The other day I woke up with a red mark on top of my left forehead, and then my other friend, she's like, they also twinned her with my program. Eve, she also had the same one, but on the opposite. I will wake up with bruises, with scratches, and it's like, okay, okay, then I have to go back and say, okay, where was I last night? Where was I? And then just remember that way and write things down. And that's what I call a bleed through, or what they call a bleed through. And it does happen because we're multidimensional. We can be, 12 people to 3,000 people, altars that we have, avatars that we have, and it could be, we're fighting in a realm, and then boom, it bleeds to this body. We've been cloned so many times. So yes, that does happen.
That like, well, yeah, let me just throw this out there and we'll come back to that. 3 weeks ago, Paul had his wallet, everything ID stolen, completely gone. 2 weeks ago, I had my wallet, ID, debit card, everything stolen, boom, completely gone. Last week, another close friend of mine, wallet, ID, debit card, stolen, completely gone. So that's how we're talking about dreams. But how often do you hear of someone having their, three people that are closely connected, boom, 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 all having the exact same experience? It's kind of interesting also. What does that mean? I don't know.
Yes, you guys, all three of you guys are in another realm fighting.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because it's obviously it's happened to me too, where I'm like, I've lost my driver's license a good 6 times since I've gotten it, since I'm 19. It's like, how does that happen? I always know that I have it in this pocket and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's weird.
And also we were talking the other day, Corey, when I call it looping or azazel, when you're driving and all of a sudden, and you're awake, you're driving, and then you're lost. It's like, what the hell am I doing in this road? Or what the heck am I doing in this store? What am I doing here? You wake, or you just have deja vu. Remember you had deja vu when we were talking? So it's
Oh yeah.
those things happen too, because you can leave your body or you can go with your body and go do whatever you have to do, or they will say the agencies plus the ETs have the technology to freeze everything around you, take you and erase your memory, just like in Men in Black, they have the pen, the black pen. Look at this pen, right? Ooh. And a lot of people have their memories wiped and they cannot remember their dreams. Some people say, oh, I never dream. Well, how do you know you never dream?
This is interesting. Back to the dreams. We'll go back to talk about Paul. There's one time I told Paul it's important. We need to go to this like secluded place and just have like meditation time. And he's like, it's very important. And like all this energy was coming to him to like not go. He's like, no, we're not going. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. And I had this like flash vision of that one being that we talked about, where he was like laughing and like basically like being very like haughty, is saying, see, I can control Paul even too. So I said, well, Paul, he thinks you're a pussy and he's taunting you right now. And like, boom, he jumps up. He's like, all right, I'm going, let's go. So there is that. I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. I know people that maybe don't have the experiences thinks this sounds completely freaking like off the freaking chain weird. And it probably is. But like I said, I can only tell you experiences I've had and just tell you the truth. So I know there are like like relationships between this realm and other realms that are simultaneous, if you will. They
Yes,
interact. They're woven.
totally, totally. It happens to us more often than others. I think because maybe others just either they're not awakened or they're drones or they're just not interested, or maybe they think we're crazy and it's science fiction. I don't care what they think. I know that our stuff is real.
Are we like the first generation of like indigo children or something like that? You
I
ever
was,
heard of that?
yeah, yeah. I consider myself indigo crystal.
Yeah.
Indigo
So I mean,
crystal.
were there generations before us that were also that, or is this
Yes, this was
kind of unique? This is unique to this time we're in.
no, we are the originals. We are the original indigo crystal children. That if you like, again, if you look at the Ashiana Dean video, she talks about the first ones that we were here were the ones with the elongated skull. And then we have Anunnaki blood, which is white, like totally white. There's other different beings that have the darker skin, the red skin, the yellow skin, and stuff like that. But we are what they call the Coister race. And we're the indigo crystal children that was here in Atlantean times and before that. So I'm not sure if we come from gate 13 or 12, but that's why there's a war going on here, because they're always trying to look for the originals. And usually the originals have the O negative blood type, which the O negative, we can only accept O negative blood type blood, but we can give to everybody. People
Right.
that have a negative rhesus, a negative carrier, or are like we were saying the other day when I was telling you that we come in and kick the shit up and we take care of business right away. We are very explosive. That's why we can build
That's the
and
thing.
boom and just lift heavy as we want. It's all a matter of how much you want to lift, instead of thinking, oh, well, what if my screw pops out? Because a lot of friends will tell me, oh, well, you better stop lifting so much because you don't know. And I'm like, bro, like, you don't know my body. You don't know I talk to my DNA, my blood. So our abilities are in our blood. And that's what I feel.
I did tell you, like, I'm really not really to share this part publicly, but I shared one of them with you. There's some times like some superhuman strength has, like, I've never been able to tap into it while exercising or in a weight room. That's just like natural incremental strength development. But like out in the real world, a couple of times I've had like that superhuman strength unleash, and my goodness, is it crazy to experience? I mean, wow.
Yes, I don't want to say publicly what I've done too, but I've had to defend a few people, and
Right.
not a pretty sight, but it just, boom, it just takes over, and you're gonna, until you finish or until somebody pulls you off of that other person, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's in, and again, I don't claim to like have a deep understanding of all this stuff relates. You've been studying it much longer than me. So like for many years, I just tried almost like denying some of like the experiences and the coincidences that kept happening over and over. So finally just came to a point where I just accepted it and said, it is what it is. I'm not going to run away from it. I'll just embrace it to the best of my ability.
Right, exactly. I'm glad that you're not, I'm glad you're brave, because a lot of people, because now that you're on my channel, a lot of other people are going to want you to be on their YouTube channels. Okay, you gotta be careful, because a lot of people out there want to use people like us to get them on their team, and that's all I'm going to say. But anyway, going back to the astral, last year, because I like to ride my bike, and so I was like all pumped up. Yeah, I'm gonna wake up early. Yep, got my alarm on. Even if I didn't sleep, we're gonna do this. And then one of my cats, her name is Honey. She was a feral cat that now she lives with me. She was in the astral with me, and it was my daughter and I were opening up our house, and it was a different house whatsoever. And that night, Honey grabs my pant leg in the astral and pulls me back into the house. And I'm like, okay. So that morning I didn't go to my bike ride. There has been many times where I've been followed, even on my bike, especially at night. So I try not to ride too much at night, but I'm not afraid. I mean, I'll go walk at midnight. I don't care, right? Doesn't matter. It's just that day, something told me don't. And it, maybe it was myself in Honey's form. Maybe it's her. I feel that because 95%, 90 to 95% of the astral, my cats are with me. I have 2 cats. They're always with me. And then there's a German Shepherd out there that's been coming to eat the cat food. And she's been in my astral also as a wolf. And then the other day she was finally with me in her German Shepherd form with my 2 cats eating. So I feel we're always sending ourselves messages, or our loved ones, our I don't even like to call them animals, because I feel like they're masters themselves. They don't need words to speak. They speak telepathically. And that's,
and I know at times not that it's happened to me, but I do firmly believe at times they can speak in a language that we understand. It's never happened to me, but I've heard enough like legitimate stories about messages being delivered to people through animals that I'm pretty confident however it works, they can communicate directly at times too.
Yeah.
I'll just say this too. I am pretty positive that there will be how can I put this? Like right now, the kingdom or the political structure, whatever you want to call it, that we navigate through is based on emptiness. And I know at some point in time, there will be like a kingdom established where people will have like authority and positions, and it'll be very cooperative and just. So that just came to me to mention it. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because see, the reason why they're making these agendas with what's going on with the baby Jabberwocky, what I call, because I can't say it on here because I already have a strike, which is silly. But when right now, how many people are on the planet? Like 7 billion, right? So when it gets to like,
whatever they say,
yeah.
who knows?
So when it gets to like 9, the number 9 billion, we are supposed to become all telepathic at once. And that's why these beings, these agencies, these agendas, 2021, 23, 2032, 33, 36, all that. Yeah. So they don't want us to become together telepathically, because then we would be so much more powerful and escape or kick them off this planet and take over. And a lot of the escape routes are under Antarctica and other places, and I've been there before. So the elites have these meetings under Antarctica twice a year. They're called the Skull and Bones Society, or the Black Sun, along with the Galactic Federation. So a lot of people, they're praising the Galactic Federation when they're just being told what to do, and they do it. It's not like they're not here to save us. I tell people, you know, the UFO ships, you know, the ones that they're coming up now, that they're going to be showing soon. A lot of people are going to bow down to those entities and say, hey, take me with you. And some of those are going to be military, some of them are TR3Bs, some of them are going to be, you know, it's their own agenda within their own agenda. So it's the ETs mixed with the military, Department of Defense, to see how gullible people are going to be. Like, it's pretty sad because I don't know why. I mean, I do know based on what I've studied, but why is it that humans want to worship things? You don't have to worship things or animals or anything or these gods that don't give an F about us. Why does, seriously, like they'll kiss, even, you know, the bandas, the Mexican bandas, they'll come over here into Tucson or to the casino and, oh, you know, they go and they have to bow down, kiss them on their hands, kiss their shoes, their same thing with the Vatican, with the Pope. It's like, come on, you're giving away your energy. I don't know. I got off on a tangent. Can I take a break real quick? I just need to take one quick break.
All right.
So how can people get a hold of your t-shirts? We have another 20 minutes to go.
Oh, t-shirt. You know what? We've got a whole new like online store we're putting together. It's not up and live yet. Working a couple of final details. We'll like pump the heck out of that at the right time. Okay. But you know, my personal phone number is 360-939-7652. I don't know if you feel compelled to give me a call or text, go for it. 360-939-7652. We do a lot of stuff. I've worked with we're involved in the music industry, you know, music and entertainment world to a degree. Obviously, we have the clothing line that we do. So if you've got any interest in like learning about what we do or possibly being involved in a series of some of the biggest, most positive, you know, concert/events, if you think you can contribute to that at all, reach out to me. There's probably someone out there listening that might be able to play a critical role. Just in the last like few months, we're putting a huge team together to put events of unprecedented nature where we're like infusing like very positive, powerful energy with music, entertainment, athletics, and going to change like the landscape of what a festival or event can be.
Heck so, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
That's good. I was like talking about following the yellow brick road. So just stepping in faith, moving towards, you know, your purpose, and being involved in that realm is absolutely part of my purpose here.
Yes. I know that I have to keep doing something with fitness and keep doing what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know already that I've been infiltrated so many times. I had a bigger YouTube channel, but I always say, you know, I just need a few good men, a few good warriors.
Sure.
And I had a t-shirt that a friend of mine helped me to design. And then I had a website, and the other person took my website and my t-shirts. So my one of my dreams has always been to have my own t-shirts and my own little cups and bandanas, you know, Code Breaker, Real Talk, or Unchained Hearts. But
yeah, I mean, the way our store is being built, it'd probably be easy to integrate. We'll talk about that off show, but it's pretty easy to like put different product lines into the way we have it structured. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah, so anything I can help with, let me know, and then we can keep doing shows and promoting. To me, I love to help people too. So thank you.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, okay. The importance of like exercise. I think it is such the effect it has like on your hormonal production and response. It's easily verifiable that is the most effective antidepressant out there. Now, I don't know if that has to do just with the actual like energy infusion within the body, or just the fact that it's almost impossible to dwell on other things when you're really truly engaged in like fairly intense exercise. Probably both, but there's a gentleman I was fortunate enough to be coached by named Ernie Franz. He's considered like the godfather of powerlifting, but really he's way beyond that. He was a strength coach before there was even the term strength coach. He like was a real pioneer and like guinea pig, if you will, on like modern exercise theory. And he's responsible for so much of the evolution of like the understanding and application of strength training over the years. And so I was able, a few other gentlemen that I was able to like study under have given me like incredible insight into like the I guess the physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual connection of exercise and how to make radical changes in your life, like through that as a vehicle. So if anyone wants help with that out there, I already gave my number out. Hit me up. Hit me up if you have any questions, comments, or ideas or input on that realm also. Because and Ernie Franz, like the original strength coach, he always talked about like a general unified acceptance. There's a certain term he had for it, but I don't remember what it was. For example, the first year that someone broke, for decades and decades, it was considered impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. The first time someone did it, like another 25 people in the next 12 months did it also. Boom, 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 boom. Once the accepted reality shifted, a change occurred that was like easily verifiable, like undeniably occurred or happened. Look at the strength world. Once a certain number is hit in a lift, it gives people like psychological permission or some kind of dimension shift or something happens where the dominoes fall and it becomes like a new accepted reality. And I find that pretty fascinating.
I agree. I feel that it has to do with the psyche, also with your mind, body, soul. I tell people, speak to your DNA, love yourself, accept your body, accept the way it looks, accept if you have toes, accept your freaky toes, accept the way you think. You're not a cookie cutter. We're not supposed to be fitting in to what other people think of. So I feel that once I started accepting my heart, the way I thought, my mind, my body, the way it was, my DNA, to this day, I speak to myself, my DNA, come on, we got this. We're going to lift heavier today, even if it's 5 pounds more, 1 pound more, we're going to do it. And I push myself. And once you break through, that's where more power comes to you. Your whole DNA is shifted. It's like you're creating new plasma in your blood. There's no offense to anybody, but a friend of mine asked me 2 weeks ago, hey, you want to go give plasma for money? Because, they raised my rent here and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I will not give my blood away. My superpowers are there. My plasma, it's mine. If it's a family member, perhaps, that's dying or whatever, needs to die, of course I'll give it. But I can't just give that away like that. So I think it has, of course, we get the serotonin. It's a conjunction. I don't know. I just see it like as a pyramid, like
I hear you.
Your mind, your body. I always tell people, you're in control of your mind. You're in control of your body. You're in control of your thoughts. The gates of your mind. Whenever I see 111, 1111, that to me is like a picket fence, like a white picket fence, whatever that you have to protect. Why should we, go along with the bandwagon, I guess.
Let's talk about the 1111 some more, because so people either like they get it, they see it, it's all around them, or they have no clue what you're talking about. So just expand on what your theory on 1111 or 111 those things are. And 11 is 12, because in the dimensions, 11 is the 11th dimension is really the 12th dimension. And it's 942 here right now. And I always see 942. My friend gave me an explanation on 942, but let me get back to the subject. So remember, from my understanding, there are 11 dimensions, but there's also a 0 dimension. So oftentimes I see 1112 occurring also. Now that's just weird numerology stuff, and if people don't get it, it sounds like completely foreign, crazy talk. But so 11 actually is 12. 11 becomes 12.
Well, actually, there's 12 dimensions. There's actually 12 dimensions, and the 13th person is you. So just see yourself like as a 12-pointed star. In the middle, you're the number 13.
Right. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. But because remember, there's 0 dimension is really 1, so 11 really is 12. It's kind of my point.
Yeah, and then 11 actually equals 4, and then 4 is part of the masters, the 444 round too. So I love numbers. I do. I love numbers. I'm always like checking out, like, oh, well, this person was born this day, the person died this day. What does the number mean? So Number 5 always means change, that there's a change that's going to be around, or you're going to be the change. 111 to me is just really, really important, because when I was like becoming this awakened person, what they call being awakened, I was like, what the heck are all these numbers? I would see all these numbers, and then I would look up angel numbers on Google, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop looking at that stuff. I gotta find out what it means for me.
Right. I'm with you.
And if you look at the sun, and we'll say it has 12 rays, right? And in the middle, it's you. So you have all these avatars, all these dimensions that you can go into, like we were talking about earlier, the bleed throughs, everything like that. We are pretty much the creators of our own universe and of our life. We call upon those that we want in our life, our thoughts. What is faith? Faith is calling those things that are not as though they were. Well, yes, same thing with weight training, and same thing with your DNA activation. You activate your own DNA, even if it's going from what I do a lot lately. What I've been doing is I work out for 3 hours, right? And then one of the hours includes a cardio. Then I'll go into the steam room. From the steam room, take a quick, water splash shower out there, and then go into the jacuzzi. 10 minutes there, then go jump in the pool. It's the easiest, fastest way that I know to activate your DNA, to create change in your body physically and mentally as well. Get yourself some ice and put it in the tub. A lot of people ask me, how do you activate your DNA? How is it that you know all this? I'm like, I just ask myself questions. And well, how do you know? Because I just know. And that is an ability that we all have. It's just that some people, as we were talking earlier, they want to go and do what the other average person is doing to get answers. And you don't need to go to a psychic reader to have it. You ask yourself, you ask your subconsciousness. You have the key here is the subconscious. Everything is stored in the subconscious. That's why I tell people, be careful what you watch as memes, because your brain is recording it. Your subconscious doesn't know if that thing is real or not, or good or bad. Your heart and your mind, your consciousness do, right? You have to tell.
Right. So
I got off on a tangent again, but yeah.
I think one thing, like the next talk or episode, whatever you call it, we have, I really want to break down that that blow to the head I took with that steel beam, because I think that's a fascinating subject, and that we talked about it briefly offline or whatever.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people find it interesting, and somehow I have a knowing that it'll kind of like help people come to terms with some things in their life when they hear the process I had to go through dealing with that.
Yes, I think we should talk about that, because I think that's when you had your major awakening, meaning yourself. Like me, when I had the awakening the light come out of my chest area, that was me. What happened with you, that's the real you. That you came in and said, this is me, I'm breaking up all the molds, I'm back, and yeah, so that's your real you that came out. Because we're under so much programming here that we have to break through all the dimensions of programming and become one with you. And then that's how we activate. Yes. So I guess.
And then another thing we'll talk about at the right time. I think I actually need to prepare for, because there's so many interwoven parts that I need to create a little bit of a bullet point structure, is like the experience I had in 2016. And there's that video I still want to show you of all the lights flying through the sky. So I'll get that to you somehow. I think the way it is, I have to just take another phone, record it, and send you it from that, just because it's strange. My phone won't let me download it onto my phone. But regardless, you're going to find that pretty interesting.
You know what I'm getting right now? Okay, I was involved in what they call the Phoenix Lights. And
I remember
another friend that's involved with that. We're looking, Eve and I are looking for our super soldier friends, Starseeds, that were involved in the Phoenix Lights. And I think you're one of them. Just right now, you telling me that, and I know you told me that before, and I'm like, I'm just thinking, yeah, let's do that. So we'll talk about your near-death experience, what happened with That must have been horrible. I saw the pictures you sent me, and the lights and whatever else you want to talk about. We can do it next week if you like. But
Yeah, for sure.
I'll call you or text you right now. And but anyway, we'll end it here for now, guys. And thank you all for showing up. I'm going to upload it soon. And
Yeah, thank you. So, and like this will be like a simulcast of the Corey Miceli show. I don't get a bad job shouting out Ramp Fiend Radio and Spotlight or whatever. That stuff will all work itself out. But my station manager and like close brother Epiphany on Ramp Fiend Radio, can't say enough about him. Like whatever you want to call it, if God or universe creation points, whatever it is, whatever power that exists, put him into my life for a reason. He's a really cool.
You, Corey? How about you put him into your life?
However it all works.
Heck yeah.
Whatever, all the infinite power of everything made it happen.
Right.
And I want to have him on the show too, because he's got a lot to offer. You're gonna love him. He's really, really good being.
Let's do it. And I wouldn't mind being on podcasts with you. I've been on podcasts with a lot of people out there. Some people say, hey, I saw you on Gigi's show, on this guy's show. And so it's pretty cool, I wouldn't mind. So, but
then this is so you guys meet my co-host too, Matthias Bergstrom Andersen, the sexy Viking from Denmark.
Ooh.
It's like a weird, time zone's goofed up. There's not an optimal time for him to be on this show, but we'll do a show with him sometime because I know he'll have some questions. He'll have some questions that will maybe help give some people that are not used to this weird world we live in some understanding, because I think he'll be able to pull some information and put it on a different level as he proposes his questions.
That sounds great, Corey. Yeah, like I was saying to you before, we started the show. It's like they know that my people that follow this channel, my friends, they know that I don't have a structure, that I just talk as I, as it flow. I like to flow that way, and I'm glad that we did it this way too, Corey. And next time, yes, we'll have whoever you want on here with us, and we could do a weekly show. I don't mind. I was actually used to doing a weekly show with Soma Fusion Mind, Body, and Soul last year, so I don't mind doing it here. And okay, so we'll let you all go for now, because if not, I'm going to keep talking. But thank you, Corey Miceli, for being.
Yeah, thank you. Remember, squat life or no life. Don't forget it.
Squat life or no life. Code Breaker Real Talk and Unchaining Heart. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you too.